According to the Institute for Fiscal Studies and the Resolution Foundation, millennials in the UK are the first generation in modern history expected to be worse off than the one before them. Not just emotionally, not just culturally, but materially. And this didn't happen because young people don't want to work. It happened because the economic engine that once built the middle class has been quietly redesigned to reward ownership over labour, assets over effort, and capital over contribution. From the 1950s to the late 1980s, Britain ran on a simple formula. Children earned more than their parents, workers became homeowners, the middle class expanded. Then, quietly, the formula changed. From the 1980s onward, financial markets were deregulated, unions were weakened. Housing became an investment vehicle. Public services were commercialised. Wages were decoupled from productivity. The economy stopped distributing growth. It started concentrating it. And the first generation to fully feel the consequences. Millennials and Gen Z. Not because they're less capable, but because they entered a game where the rules had already shifted. Let's start with the core engine of middle-class life: pay. For most of the 20th century, when productivity rose, wages rose too. If workers produced more, they earned more. That relationship is now broken. Since the 2008 financial crisis, UK real wages stagnated for over a decade. Living standards barely recovered. Under 35s experienced the weakest pay growth of any age group. Meanwhile, corporate profits hit record highs. Executive compensation exploded. Asset prices soared. The economy grew, but workers didn't share in it. This is what economists call a distribution problem, not a growth problem. There's plenty of money. It just isn't flowing to people who work for it. Instead, it flows to people who own things. In the UK in the mid-1990s, the average home cost about 3.5 times the average salary. Today, it's 8 to 9 times. In London, 12 to 14 times. That's not a housing market, that's a wealth filter, because property no longer functions as shelter first. It functions as a financial asset. Since the early 2000s, house prices rose over 300%. Rents surged far faster than wages. Home ownership among under 30s collapsed. At the same time, the average age of first-time buyers jumped from the late 20s to the mid-30s. Deposits became larger than many people's annual salaries. Landlords accumulated multiple properties. And here's the key stat. Most wealth growth in Britain since 2000 has come from property inflation, not income. So if you don't already own assets, you don't get richer, you get priced out. The middle class used to be built through work. Now it's inherited through ownership. Education was once the great equalizer. It turned working class kids into professionals. Now, it turns students into long-term debtors. Before 1998, UK tuition equals £0. Maintenance grants existed. Graduates entered work clean. Today, tuition equals £9,250 per year. Typical graduate debt equals £45,000 to £60,000. Repayment equals 9% tax on income over the threshold. Paid for decades. This means your first real job doesn't build wealth. It services debt. Education no longer accelerates financial security, it delays it. And the promise that a degree guarantees prosperity is now statistically false. Degrees raise your chances of employment, but they no longer guarantee class mobility. So, if young people aren't getting richer, where did the money go? Look at what's grown fastest since the 1980s. Corporate profits, financial sector income, executive pay, asset prices. And what shrunk? Wage share of GDP union membership. job security, middle-income stability. This wasn't an accident. It was the result of policy. Privatisation of public services, deregulation of finance, weakening of labour protections, asset-led growth strategies. The system stopped rewarding work and started rewarding ownership. If you own property, stocks, businesses, land, you're insulated. If you sell your time for money, you're exposed. That's the class divide of the 21st century. Not education, not effort. This isn't just economic, it's psychological. Young adults today report higher anxiety, lower life satisfaction, delayed milestones, fear of long-term instability, not because they're fragile, but because the future feels structurally unreachable. You can't relax when rent eats 40 to 50% of your income. Debt follows you for decades. Home ownership feels mythical. Careers feel precarious. That creates a generation that feels behind, trapped, permanently not there yet. The middle class used to offer something priceless. Now, life feels like permanent probation. Every crisis story ends with recovery. This isn't that. This isn't about one recession. This is about a new economic architecture where growth flows upward, risk flows downward, security is privatized, instability is normalized. The middle class wasn't destroyed overnight. It was asset locked, debt loaded, wage starved, gradually hollowed out, quietly, legally, systematically. The result? A generation that works more hours, is more educated, and produces more value, but owns less. Because the middle class isn't just a lifestyle, it's a stability engine. It creates social trust, political moderation, long-term thinking, civic participation. When it collapses, societies don't just get poorer, they get angrier, more polarized, more unstable. You don't get radical politics from comfort. You get it from blocked futures. Young people aren't becoming poorer because they failed. They're becoming poorer because the economy stopped being designed for them. The ladder didn't break, it was pulled up. And while politicians argue about culture, the real war is happening quietly between those who own the system and those who work inside it.